So we have two plasmids here. One is human erythropoietin gene in plasmid PACYC177, human erythropoietin in PACYC177, and we want to subclone this erythropoietin gene in a expression vector PMAL-C2T. So I'll just open Wikipedia site to talk about erythropoietin. It's a protein which is widely used for therapeutics, and one of its main function is in production of red blood cells. So primary role in red blood cell production. There are additional non-hematopoietic roles, and the medical uses are as follows. It's available as therapeutic agent, are produced by recombinant DNA technology in cell culture, and it is widely used in treating anemia. So patients with low counts of RBC, that's where we use erythropoietin protein. So let's say you want to produce this protein as fusion protein and then purify it. So that's how you want to use subclone it in PMAL C2T vector. So we have opened the PACYC177 plasmid, which contains human erythropoietin gene, and let's take a look at it. So this is how the vector looks like. It has some other components, origin of replication, and then down below we have this human erythropoietin precursor from 2048 to 2632 base pair. That's where our gene is. So we want to subclone this in PMAL vector and produce the protein as fusion protein, right? Fused with maltose binding protein. So let's open PMAL C2T and create a graphic map. So I'll remove all the unique sites, and now we can see all the features of PMAL C2T vector. And in this vector we have this TAC promoter which drives the expression through the entire expression cassette, and then it codes for maltose binding protein, and in fusion of which we'll produce our gene of interest, right? So at the end of the cassette we have thrombin recognition site and multiple cloning site. So basically when you produce the fusion protein, you can cleave the protein of interest by using thrombin, right? And so we'll take a closer look at multiple cloning site where we want to insert our gene. It starts from 2695 eco R1 and then BAM H1 XBA1 SAL1 etc., and goes all the way to HIND3. So we can choose any of these REs and use it to clone erythropoietin gene, which will eventually be produced as fused protein with maltose binding protein. So let's say we select XBA1 and SAL1. These are the two REs we want to use. So our strategy is going to be very simple. We'll PCR amplify erythropoietin gene using primers containing flanks, and those flanks will have XBA1 and SAL1, right? So once we have the amplicon, we'll cleave it with XBA1 and SAL1 and then clone it in PMAL C2T, right? So let's take a look at uh, only these enzymes, XBA1 and SAL1. And of course, if for this study to work, we need to make sure that our erythropoietin gene doesn't have an inherent XBA1 or SAL1 site, right? So we select for XBA1 and SAL1, and we can see here that we do not have these sites within erythropoietin gene, right? So we can use this strategy very well. So as first step, we need to do PCR amplification. So at the top panel, click on PCR. It will open run a PCR window. This is the primer number 1, details, name and the sequence of primer. Primer 2. So let's say we'll name forward primer as primer 1, and this is the oligotail not identical to the target sequence. segment identical to the target sequence. So we have talked about it in earlier videos. So let's say these are the primers I have already designed. This is the sequence of forward primer, and this is the sequence of reverse primer. I designed it using Primer 3 Plus program and for cloning purpose, right? So once I design the primer sequence, then I add TCT-AGA, which is the XPA1 recognition sequence, to forward primer, and GTC-GAC to reverse primer, which is a recognition sequence of SAL1. And so that the restriction enzyme doesn't falls off while cleaving the recognition site, I'll add 4 more nucleotides GAGA, which will simply stabilize the RE. Again, I'll do the same for the reverse primer. So this is for forward primer, this is the region which is not identical to the target sequence, right? And this sequence is identical to the target sequence, which is human erythropoietin gene, right? So I'll copy the non-identical region and paste it here. Then I'll copy the primer sequence which is identical to the target sequence or erythropoietin gene and paste it here. I'll do similarly for reverse primer. So remember, the once we cleave the primer with the respective RE, the region which is non-identical to the target sequence, like GAG and all those things, won't become a part of the eventual cloned fragment. So we'll go down and select the target DNA. In our case, it's going to be human erythropoietin in PACYC177. That's the plasmid. So that's our target DNA, which is now loaded. And at the bottom right corner, sorry, this is the bottom left corner, we have the plasmid loaded, and bottom right will run PCR. So this is our PCR product or amplicon, which is PCR of human erythropoietin. Now we'll create the graphic map. Here it is, and I'll remove all the unique sites and I'll look for XPA1 and SAL1 just to make sure that I have the flanks there which contain XPA1 and SAL1 sites. There it is, XPA1, SAL1. So I'm happy with my amplicon. And I'm going to save it. So I'll just hit save as at the bottom left, which will be saved as PCR within bracket human erythropoietin in PACYC177. Right, so I'll just save it at my desktop. And now I'll go to construct window. So I'll hit construct, and in the top panel we'll select for the vector, right? The cloning vector we are going to use is PMAL-C2T. This is the vector. So I'll open that. And I'll get rid of unique sites, and simply from particular sites I'll select XPA1 and SAL1. Now again, the restriction direction happens in the clockwise direction. So I'll click SAL1 first, press shift and then XPA1. So this way it will cleave at both REs and select the longer fragment. Right now the donor plasmid PCR human erythropoietin in PACYC177, that's the PCR amplicon we have. So I'll select for XPA1 and SAL1. And now click on XPA1, press shift, click on SAL1. So it selected the entire gene, SAL1, XPA1, XPA1, SAL1, right? So we'll put the program will put both the sequences side by side, and we'll ligate So we created ligation number 1. This is the product, and I'll close the cloning window. So I'll create graphic map of the product, which is our new construct. And let's look at XPA1 and SAL1 sites. There they are. So in between XPA1 and SAL1, we have the insert from PCR human erythropoietin gene, right? So this is the insert we have, and before this insert, just before this insert, we have the thrombin recognition sequence, and before that we'll have the maltose binding protein, right? So we'll just compare it with the parent plasmid, which is PMAL-C2T. So we'll open the graphic map of PMAL-C2T and now compare both these plasmids. So again here we'll size of PMAL-C2T is 6646 nucleotides, and that of our new construct is 7228, and that is because of the insert. Now let's look at XPA1 and SAL1 sites within the parent plasmid, which are there in multiple cloning sites down below at 2707 start of XPA1, and in our construct also 2707 we have XPA1 followed by SAL1. So before these two sites we have maltose binding protein, which precedes thrombin recognition sequence, right? So one big difference between PMAL-C2T and our new construct is that we don't have maltose binding protein annotated here. So that's merely a problem of annotation. That is because in the entire maltose binding cassette we have now inserted human erythropoietin gene, so the entire cassette has been disrupted. So serial cloner no longer recognizes it as maltose binding protein. It is there, but it doesn't recognize it. It recognizes it that way. All we need to do is we need to go back to the features of our new construct, and we need to add this feature again. So we need to re-annotate maltose binding protein right here. Okay, so all we need to do is go to features, then click on the plus button, and then we can add maltose binding protein. And from the parent plasmid you will know that it spans from 1528 to 2916 nucleotides. It's in the clockwise direction, and we need to this was already unlocked, so you can make all these changes only in the unlocked position, right? So make sure that it is unlocked. Now instead of miscellaneous feature, it is a gene which has coding sequence. Now you save it. So save as. So remember, all we did was we had the new construct. All we did was we re-annotated maltose binding protein in it, right? So we have uh, this new construct as human erythropoietin gene in PMAL C2T plasmid. Okay, so this is the graphic map, and here we can see that the maltose binding protein which was missing from our new vector now reappeared. So this is the XPA1 site, SAL1 site, and maltose binding protein now is reinstated sort of. So this is the only difference. Earlier version didn't have maltose binding protein annotation, which we have included this time. Important aspect of this experiment is that we are creating fusion of erythropoietin and maltose binding protein. So let's translate this entire vector. Go to the bottom of the panel and click on sequence map. This opens a new window which essentially gives you translation of the entire vector all the way from 0 to 7228 nucleotide, and it translates the entire DNA in all the 3 reading frames. So you can read a DNA in actually 6 reading frames, but in the clockwise direction or from left to right, we can read, program will read in +1, +2 and +3 reading frames. We are interested in translation because once the protein is created in fusion form with, let's say, erythropoietin fused with maltose binding protein, then both the genes should be in the correct reading frame or in the same reading frame. So so here both these genes should be in the same reading frame, so that when you create the mRNA driven by PTAG promoter, you have the entire mRNA coding for maltose binding protein, then thrombin recognition sequence, then your insert from PCR, that is erythropoietin gene. So let's analyze maltose binding protein, which starts from 1528 nucleotides, and see how it translates in all 3 reading frames. Now this is the entire sequence of the vector, and the nucleotide numbers are written at the bottom. So we know that, so this is the PTAG promoter position, and we know that which is from 1406, it starts from 1406, and maltose binding protein starts from 1528 position. So let's look for that downstream of PTAG promoter, and this is where it should lie. So this is the PTAG promoter, and downstream of that we have maltose binding protein. So there it is. I'll just focus it a little bit later, and if you go down, then you can see the annotation maltose binding protein, and downstream of that okay, so you have thrombin recognition sequence also there. So let's go back to the maltose binding protein. So it's at 1528. Now you can see that here we are looking at this site 1530, which is written at the bottom. So this is where 1530 nucleotide starts, that G. So before that there's a T. So 1530 and 1529 and 1528. So 1528 nucleotide starts at A. ATG is the first codon, and that is read in frame 1 as methionine. So that's where our maltose binding protein starts. 1528, it's a reading frame number 1, right? So MKIEEGK, that's the entire amino acid sequence for maltose binding protein. Now in order of erythropoietin to be produced or translated in frame of maltose binding protein, erythropoietin gene also should start with methionine in reading frame 1. So let me remove reading frame 2 and 3. Now we are only seeing reading frame 1, and here we can see that methionine codes maltose binding protein starts with methionine. So let's go down further downstream at 2712 is our gene of interest, erythropoietin. So let's see whether our erythropoietin is cloned in frame of maltose binding protein or not, right? So there is a thrombin recognition sequence at 2677. That's our sequence, and then comes our erythropoietin, right? So erythropoietin, this is 2710, 2711, 2712. Right, and then you can see this codon ATG, that is the start codon, and it codes for methionine in reading frame 1, right? So erythropoietin also starts with the start codon ATG and codes for methionine in reading frame 1, right? So if you remove reading frame 2 and 3 and only visualize reading frame 1, we see that maltose binding protein starts with methionine or codon ATG, which is the start codon. And if we go downstream, even our erythropoietin, okay, so that is our maltose binding protein. Then we'll go downstream, that is thrombin recognition sequence. Just downstream of that is our erythropoietin gene, and there it is. So it starts with ATG or methionine. So both the genes are in frame, and when translated will produce fused erythropoietin and maltose binding proteins.